Well, we're going over to speak to Mr. Tunji Bayomi, who is a legal practitioner. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Well, interestingly, this judgment has now come about from a legal practitioner and then as well as one who took part in the process. What was your impression when this judgment was handed down?
That's for me.
Can you hear us, Dr. Abayomi?
Yes, okay. I didn't know the question was for me.
Oh, yes, it is for you.
Yeah, okay. So you were asking what was my impression and my views when the judgment was handed down?
Yes.
Well, that's the process of law. As you are well aware, there was a previous judgment by the High Court, and then the parties exercised the right of appeal. Normally, only parties in an action are allowed to appeal. However, in a case of allowance, the court will allow the parties in interest. I think Mr. Gedede now became a party in interest, was granted the appeal, he appealed, and the decision of the court is normal. Not abnormal.
We're also looking to see how this will play out in the Supreme Court. INEC has said we're not going to postpone these elections, we're going ahead. Do you think that that stance of INEC should be reconsidered?
No, the position should be firmly reaffirmed instead of reconsidered. See, the problem with the position of PDP is essentially this. PDP wants INEC, or the people of Nigeria and the people of Ondo State, to take sides in a factional conflict that is besetting that political party, and is essentially instigating INEC to stop a national assignment because of its internal crisis. That is impossible. There are so many political parties in this country. I think in this particular election, we have something like about 10 or 12 political parties participating. So must we now detour to any particular political party in order to render useless a national assignment that affects not just political parties but the citizens of Ondo State? I think that would be an absurdity. And I would say that the only sensible thing to do is for INEC to be very determined. INEC has already set the date of election, and by law, unless there is a serious danger to security and the well-being of the people, that date cannot be altered.
So what do you think about those who have this impression, in order for us to have the fairness aspect of these elections unquestioned, when they say, how do we know which way the pendulum is going to swing when the matter gets to the Supreme Court? What if at some point in time the court eventually then says, well, let's sort these cases out before you proceed with the elections, INEC?
Right. The issue is that's not going to have any material effect on the election. If the Supreme Court decides that the appropriate candidate is, for example, Jimoh Ibrahim, he will merely harvest the result of the election. If, on the other hand, the Supreme Court affirms the right of Mr. Jegede, he will equally harvests the result of the election. It is important to firmly state and to be appreciated that elections are conducted by political parties. You will only find the symbol of political parties on ballot papers, not the faces of candidates. You will appreciate also that even when you go for election petition, normally it is the party or the party with the candidate that normally files election. A candidate largely cannot file election petition without joining his party. So the issue of election is not about personalities. And if you look at the Constitution, it also does not even recognize persons in terms of election. It recognizes political parties. So the materiality of a personality or a contestant or a candidate is not important when you are conducting election. You have personalities that are fighting for office. They are ambitious people. Who is going to disturb the nation because of their ambition? It won't make sense.
I mean, that may well be your view, but we have people who have also said the voting pattern in this country disproves what you've just said, because in some cases we've seen a state vote for a particular party for the governorship elections, and when it comes to the presidential elections, they vote for another political party. So they look to the personalities to drive those processes. If they don't like the personalities there, albeit the party presents a candidate, they look elsewhere, as we have seen in the ballots in history.